Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In this series we're going to create our newsreader application. In this episode we're going to open our articles and also we're going to put a sliding menu where we can put a lot of sources from where we can read articles from. Everything in one application. I hope you guys enjoy.
Let's begin from where we left. In the last video we created our table view and we populated our cells. But now we want to click them and we want to open the article so we can read it. That's very simple. The article is going to open in a web view because we have a URL that leads to the article. So let's go and build our web view. We're going to have a new view controller here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a navigation bar. Navigation bar. And another UIWebView to make it prettier. That goes on the top right here. And I'm going to include the same colors, which is this one. I'm going to remove this one and bar tint like this. The title color is going to be white and I'm going to still keep the newsreader. Where is it? Text? I need to change here. Yes, in there. Like this. I'm going to include a bar button like this. That's gonna go back to our table view. I'm gonna say like this. Back with a tint color of white. Perfect. And last thing, we need a UIWebView. That's gonna expand like this. Now, one last thing we need to do is put our constraints. The navigation bar is right this one. I'm gonna spread it up. Now we have this view right here. We need to pin it to the top, just like this. And we have the web view. We need to expand it as well. Very simple. Everything is blue. That's it. Now we need to create a class for this view. Simply, we go to newsreader, right click, new file, and I'm gonna call it, it's a Cocoa Touch, and I'm gonna call it web view, and this is a view controller, UI view controller, sorry. So it's gonna be called web view controller in a language Swift. Next, we save it, and here we have to delete those stuff we're not gonna need. And very simple, we are opening the storyboard and we are opening the assistant editor, and we need to connect our web view. My automatic is not working, so I'm going to specify that this is the view controller that I just created. I need to press right here and in identity expector web view controller. Simple like this. Now you see automatic instantly goes to web view controller. And I'm gonna make a bit of space right here. And simply I'm gonna connect the web view and call it web view. That's all we need to do from design stuff. Now I'm closing the assistant editor and we can start writing a code. What do we want to do is very simple. When this loads, viewDid load, we want our web view to load the request. And the request is a URL request made of URL, which URL is made of string, of course, like we did before. And that string is gonna be passed from our view controller, right, this one, when we create the WebView controller. I'm gonna show you very simply how it's done. I'm just gonna call this URL and I'm gonna create this variable var URL of type string. That is optional, we don't know if it's gonna exist, and that's it. One more thing that we need to do, I need to unwrap this. Now, in our view controller, what I want to do is I want to implement a new method from our table view, which is called didSelectRow at index path. This means that this method is gonna fire whenever I select some row, and I want to get the URL from that article that we selected and pass it to my WebView controller that is gonna load the WebView. So very simple, we say let VC, which stands for view controller, actually I'll call it WebVC, WebView controller, equals UI storyboard. We need to get the storyboard and we need to initialize it with a name and a bundle. The name is our main storyboard because there exists our new WebView controller with bundle nil, and we want to say initiate view controller with identifier, and I will say for now web, and I want to say as WebView controller. Now this identifier I need to go and put it into the storyboard, so I'm just going here, I'm selecting my view controller and the storyboard ID is gonna be web. That's it. Now XCode created our WebView controller, so we can use this WebVC. One more thing, we want to get the URL and pass it to the WebVC. So how we do this? We just say WebVC right here, and we can get the properties of the WebView controller like this. So if I say WebVC.URL, which we created right here, you see I have access right now to it. I can say this equals to, we want to get the article URL from the specific article that we pressed. So simply we say source.articles, we need to access our array of articles that we have in a table view, and then we need to say the index path.item for the specific index path that we pressed on the table view, dot URL, right, this one. And now our WebVC has the URL of that article, which means that that's the one that is gonna load. And since we have everything, we just say self.present view controller. Which view controller we want to present? We want to present our WebView controller. So we just say WebVC. Animated, I will say true, and we don't have any completion. And that's it, that's gonna load our article in our WebView controller. And very simply, we just go to the storyboard and we need to see how we're gonna do this back button to go back to our table view. Very simple, you just right click and drag this view controller and you just say action segue show. That's it. That means that this one is gonna go back here. I'm gonna stop running and let's see how this works. We have our articles here. I'm gonna select this one. Something happened right here. I got an error and says app transport security has blocked clear text HTTP. The way we do this, we need to implement something in our info.plist file. So we have to go to our info plist, which is right here, and I'm gonna need to add a new one. So I'm just pressing a plus button somewhere. Yeah. and you need to say app transport security settings. It comes up, you open it, it's empty. You just need to add one more plus, and automatically autofilled for me allow arbitrary loads, and this one you want to say to yes. That's the one that's gonna load our WebView controller. So let's go and play this again. So we select it and it opens, and yeah, here we go, we are in our article from our TechCrunch, and you can read it. Now this one has not changed color, and I'm gonna see in a moment why. Perfect. And if I say back, it opens my table view. That's all we wanted. Now one thing, let's see why this didn't change color. In a web view, and that view, I'm just gonna pin it up like this. I see, okay, the constraint is broken for some reason. So I'm just gonna remove it from there. I'm gonna put again your view. Simply like this. I'm gonna put it on the top and I'm gonna pin it again. Oh, and I need to give it a height of 20, yeah. Maybe that was why it didn't work in first time. I'm sorry that I had to do this. So let's run it again now and let's see. So we're selecting our first article, and yeah, everything's fine. And we can read our article. Read full article. Perfect. So you have your full TechCrunch reader on your application. Now what I said I'm gonna do from the beginning, I'm gonna show you how you can put even more sources for that. So we're gonna create a slide-in menu. That menu is gonna slide up from the bottom, and you can select it from here, and by selecting which provider you want, that's the source of articles you're gonna get. And let's go and create this one. Basically, I'm gonna create this menu in another class. So we go right here, newsreader, new file, Cocoa attach class. I'm gonna close this. And this is an NS object. This will be an NS object. I'm gonna call it menu manager. That menu manager is gonna control my menu that I'm gonna select. It's gonna present it, dismiss it. So we create it. Now, having this one right here, what do we want? When you press your menu, you want this to become all a bit darker, and then only the menu to be visible, but not completely remove this one. So that means that you need to have a black view with an alpha value of half of what it normally is. You need to present it in the full window. So you simply, let's go and create this black view. I'm gonna see how we're gonna show it. This our black view is UIWebView. I'm gonna create this programmatically. Everything that I'm gonna do for the menu is gonna be programmatically. So we create our black view, which is a UI view, and we want to have a function saying that's gonna be also public function, which means we can open it from anywhere. I'm gonna call it open menu. By open menu, we're gonna present the menu. And for now, what we want, as I said, we want to present it into our full window. So we have to get the window from the app delegate. It's very simple. You just say if let window equals UI application dot shared. UI application dot shared dot key window. If we have a window, we want to do some stuff. And what we want to do, the black view we created, we want to give it a frame, and the frame is gonna be the Windows frame, so we just say window.frame. That means the black view gets expanded, and the black view color, background color, is gonna be a UI color with, I'm gonna say white. Well, if you give the white a CG value of 1, the black view will have a white background color. So we're gonna give it a 0 to have a black background color, and an alpha of 0.5. That will give it a bit of transparency. And we're gonna animate this by saying UIWebView.animate with duration and animations. Write this one. With time interval, I'm gonna say 0.5. That's gonna be very quick, half a second. And animations. What do I want to do with an animation? I want to change the alpha value I gave right here to 1. Self.blackview.alpha equals 1. And before I do that, I want to add it to the window. So window.add subview, and the subview is the black view. Now let's go and create our button right here. If we go to our main storyboard, and you say UI bar button right here, and I'm gonna call it a menu. You can also get an image that you can insert right here instead of saying a menu, but I'm not gonna do it in our video. It's very simple. You just get the image, you put it in the assets, and you change it from right here saying image. And I'm gonna give it a white color. Now I'm gonna go and connect this menu. If I go automatic view controller, and right here I'm gonna connect the outlet of the menu button. Actually no, I'm gonna have to create the action, so I'm gonna put action right down, and this is an action, and it's gonna call menu pressed connect. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna close our system editor. Before menu pressed, I'm gonna create the object of menu manager. To do that, I just say let menu manager equals a menu manager, open and close brackets. Now I have the object of menu manager, and I can say menu manager, the variable I created, dot open menu. Let's see what this is happening. So right here we have a menu, and if I press it, you see a black view appears. And right here we want a menu to appear. So as you can see, the black view appeared, and I cannot press on anything. And however, when I press the black view, what I want to do is I want to dismiss the menu. So if I go right here to the menu manager, I will need to do a tap gesture to our black view, which means every time that I press the black view, something is gonna happen. And that something is gonna be to dismiss the black view, the menu. So I'm gonna say black view dot add gesture recognizer, and that gesture recognizer is UI tap gesture recognizer with a target and an action. The target is self, and the action I'm gonna create in a bit, but I'm gonna call it right now selector, and I'm gonna say self dot dismiss menu. That's how I'm gonna call the action. And let me close this perfectly. Now it doesn't recognize dismiss menu, so let's go and create this. And this is a public function dismiss menu. And very simple, again we need to animate this. So we're gonna say UIWebView.animate with duration and animations. The duration is gonna be 0.5 again, and you double click this. Oops, didn't work out. Just delete this and open and close brackets like this. And what we want to write is self.blackView.alpha. We want to give it an alpha of 0 this time, which is gonna be completely not visible. And let's go and see how this works. So I'm selecting menu and the black view appears, and I'm tapping on the black view and the black view disappears slowly. That's what we want to do. Now we want to create a small table view that's gonna contain our sources. For this project I'm just gonna include the TechCrunch right now and one more, but you can add as many as you want following my steps. So let's go and create a table view. I'm gonna call it a menu table view, which is a UI table view, like this. Now, since we have a table view, we want to convert to a table view delegate and table view data source in order our table view to listen to our changes and everything. So you just say UI table view delegate and UI table view data source. Data source. And one thing you need to do, since we are creating the menu manager, we want to say override init, and this is gonna be super.init. So when you initialize it, you override the initialization of NS object, you do what the super does, and you want to do something extra. And the something extra that we want to do is say some things like menu table view dot delegate is self, and menu table view dot data source is self. That's in order to listen to your changes. And a few more things I'm gonna say is I don't want my table view scrollable, so I'm gonna say is scroll enabled equals to false, and I also don't want it bouncing, so I'm just gonna say bounces equals false, just like this. Now you also need to convert to the table view delegate, which, if you remember from the previous videos, is number of rows, number of sections first, one section. I'm gonna return, sorry, 1. We want number of rows in section. For that, it depends. Now I'm gonna create right here a let array of sources. And that array of sources, I'm gonna put TechCrunch, like this one, and I'm also gonna include TechRadar, just like this. So I'm gonna return right here number of rows, return array of source, dot count. As many sources are right here, that many I'm gonna return. And lastly, self or row at index path. And very simply, we're not gonna create any custom table view here. So you're just gonna say let self equals table view dequeue reusable identifier. This is gonna be cell ID. Actually, it's for row at index path. Sorry, I'm gonna just delete it in a second. Cell, like this, cell ID. For row at index path, we have the index path. And I'm gonna say as UI table view cell. So I don't need this. And very simple, because this is a normal table view salon, we're just gonna say cell.text label dot text equals an array of sources for index path dot item, and we're returning a cell. Now you need to create a cell ID right here. So basically you need to create one custom cell right here, which is gonna be new file, and this is an empty. Go next. I'm gonna call it base. So next, and right here, just let me close this. I'm gonna say table view cell. I'm just gonna call this. I need to give a cell ID, just like this. Now, my menu manager, what I do, I just create a menu. I'm just gonna have the name of this thing right here. Something else you want to do is you want to give a height for every row. I don't want it very big, as normally is, so I'm just gonna say height for row at index path, and that's gonna return 50. Every cell is gonna have a 50 height. When you open the menu, you want to say the table view to be on the very bottom. So to do this, you need to give it a frame. Now what I want the let height of the table view, since I'm gonna have just two sources and each source has a 50 pixels height, I'm just gonna say 100. That's what 100 I get from 50 times the two sources that I have. So that's gonna be the height of my table view. And I want a position y, let y equals. This y position is gonna be, if you see right here, is gonna be at the very, very bottom right here, minus the height of the table view, which is gonna be 100, which means that this is gonna be pushed up to right here. So this is gonna be the height of my table view. So I'm just gonna say window dot frame dot height minus the height of my table view. And what I want to do with this, very simple, I just say menu table view dot frame. I want to give the frame, and this is gonna be a CG rect, and we want to give float values. So x is gonna be 0, and the y is gonna be window dot frame dot height, and width is gonna be window dot frame dot width, sorry, and the height is gonna be height that I created. Now the width is gonna take the window which we created right here, and it's gonna expand it from one side to another. The height I added right here is 100, and the Y position means that it's gonna be at the bottom of the screen, so you're not gonna see it at first. However, what is the problem right here? Okay, float and integer. So just I'm gonna say that this one is CG float because Swift thinks this is an integer and thinks correct. So I'm just gonna say that this is a float. So it's gonna make this abstraction right here. And since this is at the bottom of the screen, when you open the menu, you want to slide it up. So very simply, in the animation that we show the black view, we want to say self dot menu table view dot frame dot origin dot y. We want to change just the y position of the table view, and we're gonna say it's y equals y. That's gonna push it up by the height of the table view. And one last thing, we just say window dot add subview, and we add the menu table view. Very simple. Let's go and see how this is gonna look. So we press our menu and I get a crash. The crash is because I didn't register the cell ID right here. So basically you have to say menu table view dot register. You need to register a cell class, and our cell class is the base view. I'm gonna call it base view cell dot class for coder. Don't worry if you don't get the completion, that's because we haven't yet created this base view cell, and this is gonna be cell ID, the one right here that we created. And let's go create this base view cell right here, file, new, insert Cocoa attach of a UI table view cell. Cell. Oops. Sorry, I need to cancel this, and I'm gonna call it base view cell. Create. I don't need to do anything. This works fine now. So let's see if I'm gonna get this crash again. I'm pressing menu, and you see the menu slide up. Now the thing is that I haven't written any code to dismiss it, so if I press on the black view, it gets dismissed and this one stays here. So as you can imagine, it's very simple. In here, when we say dismiss menu, we just say self.menu table view frame origin y. We just want to change the y, and we want to put it back to the bottom of the screen, which is, oh sorry, I need to create the window again, which is reflect window equals UI application dot shared dot key window, if there's a window, like this, and this is window dot frame dot height. Let's go and see. So we press menu, our menu appears. We press on the black view, our menu disappears. Very nice. Now we want to do something when we press on something in our cell. So as you can imagine, we need to implement the did select grow at index path. And what you want to do now, because our view controller is written just to get the URL request for only this URL right here, we will have to change it. In my first video, I said the URL seems just the same, except one thing. Source is changing, and the sort by is changing. So all we will need to do is change this source. So very simple, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna create a variable right here, var.source equals, and at the very first I'm gonna say it's TechCrunch. I'm gonna give it a default value of TechCrunch, and this one I'm gonna do like this, and I'm gonna open brackets, and before the brackets I'm gonna put a backward slash, and inside the brackets I'm gonna say provider, and I need to say fetch articles with a label from source and provider, which is this provider right here, which is a type string. And right here, as you can imagine, we need to change this fetch articles, and if I say fetch articles from source, and the source is gonna be source, now every time I'm calling fetch articles from source, I'm changing the source to TechCrunch, So this link is gonna be for source TechCrunch. Now, what we want to do in our menu manager is when we select the row, we very simply say if let vc equals vc stands for view controller equals main vc as, if it's possible, view controller, open brackets. Now, what main vc is? I'm gonna create the main vc right here, var main vc, and this is gonna be a view controller, which is gonna be an optional. And when we present the menu from our view controller right here, if I go to my menu pressed, I just say menu manager open menu. But what I also want to say is now menu manager dot main vc that I just created equals to self, just like this. And we go back to menu manager. Now that if this exists, main vc as view controller, very simply we want to say vc, which is our view controller, dot source, and the source, what is gonna be, is gonna be array of sources. I'm not getting completion. Why? Did you mean? Okay, so I just need to do like this. If let vc equals main vc, vc dot source array of sources. Let's see. Array, not getting any completion, of sources for index path dot item. And what I want that's gonna do is gonna get just the TechCrunch or TechRadar, but you see I have capital letters there, so I'm just gonna say dot lowercase. And like this, we just say again vc dot, we want to fetch articles from source, and we have here this one, array from sources, like this. And since we're selecting something, we want to dismiss the menu, or just say dismiss menu. Let's go and see how this is working out. I have my TechCrunch right here, and I'm just gonna say menu. I have TechCrunch, TechRadar. I'm pressing TechRadar, and you can see my articles changed. PS for Pro Review. So if I open it, it opens, you see TechRadar. And just like this, guys, you can add more sources to your application, and you have as many sources as you want, and you can read in here. Of course, if you want to make your table view scrollable, I didn't want to, you can make it scrollable, so you can scroll around, and you can have many possible sources in all one application.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something useful. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up if you like the video. And also, don't forget to check the previous videos right here. See you in the next video.